Hey everybody, this is Bailey. Today I'll be sharing my experience with N6 being turned on. To give you a backstory, I dreaded getting cochlear implant upgrades because of this reason. I have to go through 3 days of adjustment period, and I call those 3 days three days of hell, because I swear to God, everybody sound robotic talking to this 90s mic. So I get this echoey, robotic speech, and I have to rely so heavily on my eyes to figure out what they're saying to me, because my ear is useless to me for the first 3 days. But after that, I will notice the huge significant difference of sound of my old processor to new processor. I would hear wider range. Like when I got upgraded to Cochlear Implant Freedom, and it was back in college, and I was talking to my brother, and I noticed that I was keeping up better with his faster speech, and you could tell he was so excited that he was actually talking faster, and I was keeping up better and better, and I was like, oh, probably this is what I needed, is the upgrade. This is even better. It's just, I've noticed that too, and I'm able to keep up better too. And I was able to understand kids for once. I mean, I have to have time to play with them and listen to their voice, their speech pattern, but I was able to understand them way better than I used to back in the day, so I'm really happy about that. Anyway, back on to my background story. I really hate getting upgrades because everybody sounds robotic and repetitive, not repetitive, echoey. And the other thing is, when we install program into my processor, which is another name for cochlear implant, or a little computer, I have to listen to beeps, and it's so annoying to hear beeps like high frequency, low frequency, so on and so forth. It's like beep 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 beep. I'm like, the high frequency gets me every time. I hate high frequency beeps, and it gives me a headache afterwards. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate them. But, and my husband, for him, this is his first time with me last year. So I was thoroughly preparing him. I was like, just so you know, if I'm grumpy or really ticked off, or I'm just wanted to look like I'm ready to strangle you, please forgive me. It's this 3 days of hell that I have to deal with. Everybody sound robotic, everybody sound echoey, and it gives me a headache for 3 days straight. And he actually felt sorry for me to have to deal with that for 3 days, and he knew it was coming up, so he was ready and prepared. And yeah, even my parents were ready and prepared. It was like, okay, do not call her, do not FaceTime her, do not do anything. They actually said we'll FaceTime on the 3rd day, where it usually clears up. At the 3rd day, my brain, it just feels like there's a click. It was like, oh, this is normal sound. Boop, back to normal. Anyway, when I got to my Audiology appointment, she pulled out the cochlear implant, and we just chatted about how it works and how it's significantly lighter than my old processor and everything. And I told her it's definitely significant. I mean, you will see in the next point, it's significant difference. And it's, when I felt it, it was so light. And I thought, what if it falls off? my audiologist was like, no, it won't fall off. It'll stay. It just feels lighter, so it feels like it's going to fall off. Anyway, we got it, put it together, minus the battery, plugged into the computer that I was telling you about, that we have to install a programming, and I have to listen to the beeps, really annoying beeps. And then she turned on the, what do you call it, speaker, normal speaker, where I can talk to her and we can talk. And if I notice there's some weird sounds in the background noise, I would either tell her, oh, can you please adjust high frequency to lower pitch, like a little bit lower, and the low frequency a little deeper, because there were some sounds that I'm not getting. And when we were talking, and then it was like, okay, fixed it. And then we got it off the program, put it in battery, put me through hearing test to make sure I'm hearing her just fine. Which is funny because I was like, there's no way I can hear you with this 3 days of adjustment period. Why are you putting me through this? But I swear to you, when I put it on, holy moly, I heard my audiologist clearly. I mean, there's a slight echoing going on, but if I don't pay attention to that slight echo, everything sounds crystal clear, and we were talking like it was nothing. And then we went through hearing tests. I passed it. There were some sentences. It was tell you a sentence, trying to figure out what they were saying, like men and women voice, and long sentences, low with crystal clear, or fast and mumbling. I passed it decently. Anyway, but I was dumbfounded. I was texting my friends and my family. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to go through 3 days of hell and blah, blah, blah. And my mom and my dad were like, FaceTime when you get home, please. And I'm like, oh yeah, I will. Got into my car and turned it on. The tone that I heard that normally I would expect to come on is like higher frequency, but kind of faint kind of way. The tone that I heard with this, it was so much richer, deeper, and resounding, and I almost cried right there. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this sound? I've never heard of this before. And it was so weird. And my music crystal clear, like way better than I heard with my old processor. I was like, okay, how good is this when it comes to driving? So I went out and started driving with music. I didn't have to crank it up as loud as I used to. Even on normal road, I didn't have to crank it up. I cranked it up to 14, that's it. Normally I have to crank it up to 24 to hear it. And I didn't hear my tires like rumbling, I didn't hear the wind, I didn't hear anything like that, like I did with my old processor. And I was so dumbfounded by it. I'm so dumbfounded. It still gets me to this day, and I love it. And I got home. I got my wireless phone clip ready to go on, and I turned on my phone, ready to FaceTime my parents, and I talked to my mom. For the first time, I heard her as if she was in the room next to me. I heard it crystal clear. To explain why this is such a significant moment for me, she has that airy voice with no power behind her words. So it's really hard for me to understand her when she's talking soft and everything. But with my processor and my wireless phone clip, I heard her without a problem. Of course, there are some few times where I have to ask her to repeat herself, but it's usually the internet because it will freeze, and yeah. And I was telling my dad and my mom, I was like, I can hear you so much better, and this is my first day wearing it, and I told her that there's a slight echo behind the words, but if I don't pay attention to it, I'm fine. If I pay attention to it, it will start giving me a headache. But after that, I was so happy. And then my husband came home and we were talking, and he was like, wow, you're not going through the 3 days of hell. No, I'm not. I'm so excited. And we had to go out to celebrate it because it was so awesome. And we chose a restaurant where it's so busy and noisy. But when I sat down at the table talking to him, and I noticed, I can hear you over the background noise. And he was not shouting at all. He was talking normal. And we were just talking, and I told him, I'm like, dude, I can hear you just fine. And he's like, I'm going to talk softer. And he talks softer. I'm like, I still hear you. And he's like, oh my god, this is so cool. He's a computer engineer, so everything electronic, he finds it cool. But it was just, I love it. I love N6. I mean, yes, there are few complaints that I have about it, which I have it up here in the card and down in the description box to watch it. Those are my praises and complaints. But I love my processor despite of the flaws. And yeah, I love it. Alright guys, this is all I have for you today. If you find this video informative, please press like, and if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe down below in the description box. And I will see you next Saturday. Bye!